Oh.
Good evening. I'd like to call the June 16th meeting of the City Commission to order at 7:30 PM. If everyone could please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Commissioner Roselle,
Present.
Commissioner Elder,
Present.
Commissioner Olsman.
Present.
Mayor Paul is excused this evening. Do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion for approval of the consent?
Any opposed?
Oh, sorry, any opposed? Thank you. Any opposed? Do we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Or sorry, I didn't ask for opposed. Okay,
Go for it.
thank you, Matt. Next, communications. So we received a letter from Jessica Lynn Edwards resigning from the Anti-Racism Advisory Committee. So do we have a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Second.
Any opposed? No, all in favor? Thank you. My first time running a commission meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moved, we accept the resignation. Next is county commissioner and elected official remarks. I do not see any of our elected officials. So we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is proclamations. So the first proclamation we have is recognizing June as Juneteenth National Freedom Day, a day of observance. Whereas America does not only celebrate our independence on July 4th, on June 19th each year we look back to the day in 1865 on which Union General Gordon Granger led troops into Galveston, Texas to announce the end of the Civil War and the insidious institution of slavery. Thousands of enslaved people in Texas, among the last to learn of their independence, tasted hard-won freedom for the first time. And whereas over the next several decades, African Americans who journeyed out of the South seeking better lives brought Juneteenth celebrations with them. The thousands who settled in Michigan taught our state that America's struggle for independence did not end in 1776 or 1865, but continues to this day. And whereas this Juneteenth, we urge all Huntington Woods residents to reflect on the ongoing cause of freedom for Black Americans, remembering that though General Granger's announcement in 1865 called for absolute equality, that vision was and remains far from complete. And whereas in 2021, the City of Huntington Woods recognized Juneteenth as a city holiday, and as we raise the Juneteenth flag proudly over City Hall, let us celebrate how far we have come and take stock of how far we must go, honor all those who have lived and died in pursuit of a more perfect union. And now therefore be it resolved that the members of this City Commission do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day, a day of observance. Our next proclamation this evening is recognizing June 2026 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. Whereas the City of Huntington Woods cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas all are welcome in the City of Huntington Woods to live, work, play, and every family in any shape deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas the city denounces prejudice and unfair discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to our fundamental principles. And whereas Pride Month began in June of 1969 on the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, after LGBTQIA+ and allied friends rose up and fought against the constant police harassment and discriminatory laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. And whereas the city appreciates the cultural, civic, and economic contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual community would strengthen our social welfare, and where it is imperative that young people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas despite being marginalized, LGBTQIA people continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the City Commission declare the month of June 2026 as LGBTQIA Pride Month in the city of Huntington Woods, and urge residents to recognize the contributions made by members of the LGBTQIA community and to actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice, proclaimed at the regular City Commission meeting of June 16th, 2026. Moving on to public participation. Would like to remind anyone who wishes to participate in public participation that you have a limit of 3 minutes. There is a timer up here letting you know how much time you will have left. And this is an opportunity for you to share your thoughts with the City Commission about anything that is not an item of business on the agenda this evening. 3 minutes. And there should be a piece of paper up there and a pen, so please write your name and address before you walk away from the podium. Public participation is open.
Hal Stack, 13108 Talbot. A friend asked me to ask this question of the commission. I think I know the answer, but she wants to know, given that you are now wrapping up the 4th year of your master plan extension, when will the community ever get a report on what's been accomplished, what's not been accomplished, what's been changed, where are we going? Soon you'll be starting the new one, and you'll hire another consultant, you'll file it away, and we'll never hear anything more about it, but maybe you could change that. Thank you. You could answer that too, by the way. You want first?
I'm sorry? Okay. I'm a member of the Huntington Woods Peace Group. We are responding to the letter that was sent out about the parade, and especially to the section that dealt with permitted signage for groups. So my words are connected to that part of the Civil Rights Litigation Initiative, which I think everybody probably read by now. I'm going to have to, I'll read very rapidly, okay? I didn't know it was 3 minutes. Huntington Woods Peace Group started marching in the parade in 2002. In May of 2003, we received a notification about the parade coming up in July, and were invited to march. For the next 22 years, we continued to receive parade information in the usual manner. Instructions about time and place to assemble, the route of the parade, that type of thing. It was a shock when this year's letter of instructions centered on the rules for what could and could not be part of the groups in the parade, their particular signage. It was a shock that so much of the restrictions seemed to be directed towards the peace group. In other words, the rules barred any messaging in the parade advocating a position on any candidates or issues. The peace group is founded on an opinion that peace is better than war. Peaceable resolution of conflict is better than killing people who don't agree with you. Does that mean that we are to be excluded from the parade because of a sign that may read, quote, something like, choose peace, or something like that? We have always been received by Huntington Woods parade goers with smiles and applause, always leading up until 2024. For the past 2 years, however, there has been a small group, mostly of men, standing in the same spot on the route who have yelled at us in a hostile manner to go back to Dearborn where we belong. Are these the people who have complained personally to the commission? I'm sorry?
Your 3 minutes is up.
That's it?
You might have picked up the sign-in sheet here. I'm gonna take that back. While she signs her name, I'm Kathleen Erickson, 13342 Hart Avenue. I'm following up from Phyllis on the letter from U of M Civil Rights Litigation Initiative sent to the city manager last Friday with copies to the commissioners. To stay within the time constraints, I will only read a portion of the letter, but I have extra copies of it available for anyone who would like the full letter. Facts. The Huntington Woods Peace Group is a collective of residents of Huntington Woods and neighboring communities. Founded during the invasion of Iraq in 2003, the group advocates for peace and justice in the United States and abroad. The group rents rooms in the city library and rec center to hold monthly meetings, invite guest speakers, and host other events. And since its founding, the group has participated in the 4th of July parade sponsored by the city. In past 4th of July parades, the Peace Group has always been able to express its views on issues of public concern. Joined by other organizations, the group has held signs and displayed logos on issues ranging from war in Iraq to racial justice, environmental advocacy, and gun violence. The group has flown a peace dove, passed out flyers containing its mission statement or the Declaration of Independence, and occasionally cheered and chanted. The group's messaging has generally been well received, and onlookers who disagreed were always free to exercise their First Amendment right to voice their views on the sidelines. The group's calls for peace have also tended to grow more popular from one year to the next. That was true of the group's anti-war advocacy during the invasion of Iraq 2 decades ago. Similarly, its call for an end to the war in Gaza has become more popular over the past 2 years. In early 2025, the City Commission attempted to restrict the Peace Group's activities for the first time when it considered imposing a moratorium on room rentals in city facilities after the group's request to host a discussion on the conflict in Gaza in the rec center. It was suddenly rejected. The commission had received complaints about the Peace Group from a small but vocal group in opposition to its advocacy for a ceasefire and was advised by the city attorney to establish a moratorium of 90 days while it reviewed its room rental policy. Fortunately, when members of the Peace Group raised constitutional concerns at the next city meeting, the commission declined to proceed with the moratorium and ultimately adopted only procedural changes to the policy. I'm going to cede my time to Joanne.
I'm Joanne Crystal, resident of Huntington Woods for almost 50 years. Now the city is again attempting to suppress the Peace Group's speech. In a stark departure from prior years, the city released stifling rules for this year's July 4th parade. While the parade invitations of past years imposed no restrictions on messaging, this year's rules prohibit any speech through words or graphics, signs, banners, vehicles, clothing, etc. The rules also ban the distribution of promotional literature, music that is not family-friendly and or patriotic in nature, and any yelling and shouting as either a participant or onlooker. The only speech participants in the parade may engage in is displaying the name of the group and logos and or taglines on a banner, signs, on clothing, or on a car. The rules expressly bar political campaigning in the parade, including any signs or messaging advocating for a position on any candidate or issue. This year, officials will be stationed along the parade route, and participants deemed to be in violation of the rules will be removed from the parade lineup. It's at the sole discretion of the city manager, and these rules are final. When members of the Peace Group asked you about the reason for the instituting these parade rules, you referenced complaints to the city about the group's prior messaging calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, and cited a general concern about public safety, nor any threats of violence. The only negative response has been verbal displeasure. The anticipation of complaints or disagreements with speech can never justify government censorship. Suppressing free speech for the purpose of preventing disagreement is undemocratic, unconstitutional, and un-American. That is the end of the second page of the letter. And I'm here to say this. As I was trying to say something other than this letter that would be relevant and meaningful, it came to me that this is what democracy is all about. You are up here, you could be home, you could be golfing, you could be watching television and doing whatever hobbies that you have. And we too, all of us here, could be home or just enjoying ourselves, but we're here. Our Peace Group has been together for 20 years because we're passionate about and sincere about making our lives in our community better. Voting every 2 or 4 years isn't enough. Signing a petition or watching CNN or Fox News or trying to be aware isn't enough. It's groups like ours, like John Lewis says, the civil rights activist that said we should make good trouble. We're proud of our good trouble that we've created over the years.
Sorry, your time's up.
Okay, all right. Tom, you want to come on? Yeah. They're not letting me.
No, I can read it for you.
Oh. Okay. Okay, wait. That's good.
Hi, my name is Tom Schramm. I've lived on Elgin Avenue for about 40 years, and I'm a member of the Peace Group, for a long time member of the Peace Group. And I was a journalist, as an editor at the Detroit Free Press for about 20 years, and then I became Director of Public Education at the American Civil Liberties Union of Michigan. Michael Steinberg, who wrote the letter to the city, is a former colleague of mine and a friend. And we used to have staff meetings on Monday morning when we'd get some issues like this, and we'd sit around and look at each other and say, what were these people thinking? They can't do that. And that's what the case is here. This is clearly a case of freedom of expression and the First Amendment. You're telling me that I can't walk down a public street with a sign that says "Peace Now" in my own hometown, and that's just isn't gonna fly. And I will tell you, first of all, that Mike and I will go to our friends at the ACLU of Michigan and file a complaint, and I expect that they will take it up because they know us, they know we're serious people. And I will tell you, secondly, there will be political signs at the parade, because I'll be carrying one that says something like "Peace Now," and you can do with that whatever you want. And I want to thank you for your time and your attention.
Okay, all right.
Hi, I'm Gary Zarolnik. I've lived on Kingston and York for close to 40 years now, and was a founding member of the Peace Group, and marched in innumerable parades in that time. And so the first thing is the statement that there will be signs, and there will be an opportunity for the city to enforce or not enforce that. Secondly, that in the consent agreement, there's a line from the report from the Parks and Recreation saying that they were accepting the rules for the peace group, for the parade, the parade signage. There was a mention of that in there, so I don't know if that, your acceptance of that implies acceptance of those rules, but it is in that section of the consent agreement. And now I'll complete Joanne's statement, which says, our peace group has been together for over 20 years and is so sincere and passionate about making our lives and our community better. Voting every 2 years isn't enough. 2 to 4 years, signing petition, watching CNN, trying to be aware isn't enough. Groups like us, John Lewis, making good trouble. We're proud of the good trouble we've created over the years, and some people are going to push back, protest us and what we're doing. That's okay. It makes our mission even more important. We are informed, caring human beings that want the world to be a better place and feel that the Huntington Woods Peace Group has given us a voice and will continue discussing and writing letters and fighting to create a dialogue, legal and otherwise, to accomplish what is necessary, whether it's war in Iraq, Iran, Ukraine, Gaza, Lebanon. This is why we stand up. We're not going away. Thank you for your time. I'm going personally for 4 expulsions from the parade. We're having a contest, who can get booted out the most by the managers.
I'm Ronald Aronson. I've been living on Elgin for 47 years, raised 2 girls who went through the school system, and 2 grandchildren who have gone through the school system, and have 1 daughter living 5 blocks away. So I'm rooted in this community, and I know well our community's reputation for being welcoming and diverse. Hell, that's what the first 5 minutes of this meeting were about. One thing after another, that really makes us smile about Huntington Woods and glad we're here. And then, to come up with this, we're facing a reputational issue. And I can say that as a loyal, devoted member of this city and of the Peace Group, a reputational issue, because just watch for the newspaper that says, Huntington Woods, ideal community, shuts down free speech. That's what it's going to look like. You want to see that? I don't want to see that. I feel embarrassed. I think that, no, it's really embarrassing, and honestly, think about it.
It will make the papers.
It will make the papers, absolutely. What you've got to do is simple. Repeal the new rules. Go back to something vague that's accepting of the spirit of the community. We represent the spirit of the community. Thank you.
I don't know where we left off reading, but I'll say my
Absolutely.
My name's Faith Allen, I'm from Hazel Park, and I've been part of the Hazel Park Peace Group for 9 years, on the steering committee for 3 or 4 or 5 years now. And I was actually in the parade last year, and I was really embarrassed by the people around that, men in the front that turned their back on us, just turned their back on us. I thought, what kind of a community is this? This is terrible, this isn't right. I mean, I wouldn't do that to them, even if I didn't agree with them. And anyway, so I just like the idea of free speech. We had our own little Memorial Day parade in Hazel Park, and it was great. And it's too bad that we can't have the same thing here. It's just how I feel. Free speech is important. Oh, okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan Morrow. I'm a 25-year resident of Huntington Woods. I live on Wyoming Road. It really, to echo what Professor Aronson said, it was really lovely to walk in a little bit late this evening and hear recognitions of Juneteenth and hear recognitions of Pride Month in the town where I've lived for so long and I've raised my children. And what's important to realize about those two things is neither of those things, Juneteenth nor Pride Month, were inevitable in American life. They came only after a lot of debate and heated disagreement that was able to be pushed forward because of the First Amendment. I like that Huntington Woods values history. We are looking at our 100th birthday this year, and we are celebrating in this parade the 250th birthday of the Declaration of Independence, the American Revolution, and the founding of our country. And it is important to remember that that revolution and the founding of this country also were not inevitable. People disagreed. You can watch Ken Burns' latest series on the Revolution that ran for a whole week in the winter. You can watch Hamilton. You can watch an old 70s musical in 1776. However you prefer to take in your pop culture version of the American Revolution, we know that it was not inevitable. There were loyalists who did not want to leave Britain. There were rebels, there were revolutionaries. And even within the revolutionaries, there were people who full-throatedly disagreed with each other about slavery. And does the Declaration of Independence and freedom also mean freedom for the enslaved people in the South? And they argued and they argued and they argued about that in Philadelphia before a Declaration of Independence was written and declared. So, and then 15 years later, in the Constitution, we have our First Amendment and freedom of speech. We need to value all of those aspects of that history, not just the sweet, saccharine ones. Thank you very much.
Ellie Moscow, 8376 Huntington Road. I want to address concerns that remain after reviewing the footage of last month's commission meeting regarding public safety cooperation with immigration authorities. The comments at the end of last month's meeting suggest the city intends to use its discretion not to protect residents, but to expand local involvement in immigration enforcement. The city manager made clear that traffic stops and other routine encounters would be used as opportunities to see who we have in a car and to work with federal agents to identify people. In particular, he remarked that in the past 5 years, many people in this country have not been vetted, and that it is public safety's job to help federal agents find them. It is not. Those comments were made in the context of anti-Semitic flyers distributed by a suspected white supremacist group, and then through references to sleeper cells and unvetted people used to justify heightened suspicion of immigrants in ordinary police encounters. As a Jew, an immigration attorney, a believer in civil rights, and a resident of this community, I want to be clear. Hate from one group should not be used to justify intensified policing of another or to expand local involvement in immigration enforcement. That context makes the gaps in the resolution adopted at the same meeting all the more urgent to address. The resolution reflects a narrow and overly conservative interpretation of federal law that courts have negated, and as a result, it does not go far enough. Among our key concerns, the policy does not prohibit officers from using race, ethnicity, national origin, accent, language, or foreign-issued IDs as grounds for suspicion or to trigger contact with immigration authorities. It does not bar officers from prolonging encounters to investigate immigration status or await a federal response. And it does not prohibit officers from initiating contact with immigration authorities on their own absent a judicial warrant. The city has more legal flexibility than this resolution reflects. Several residents raised these concerns before last month's meeting and asked that the vote be delayed, but those written concerns were neither raised nor addressed before the vote. We respectfully ask the Commission to revisit this resolution with outside counsel, experienced in immigration law and local police policy, and in collaboration with engaged community members. The legally permissible guardrails other cities have adopted are not performative. They are exactly what Huntington Woods needs to ensure our officers focus on community safety rather than civil immigration enforcement, and to better reflect our values of civil rights, community trust, and constitutional policing. And since I have another minute, I do want to pose a question regarding the new rules for the 4th of July parade, and if these rules are going to be enforced, whether our city-owned public safety vehicles with Blue Lives Matter decals on them will be permitted to drive through the parade. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Lauren Ossemacher. I live on Nadine. We're newer residents. We moved in here almost a year ago, and we've loved our experience so far and are overwhelmed by how the community has embraced us. My family and I have been watching the discussion over resolutions to protect our community from ICE and the federal government overreach, which is how I came upon the comments our city manager made at the end of last city commission meeting. I was, to put it quite frankly, shocked and angered by the words said. The city manager, who is also the director of public safety, as I understand it, made it clear that the horrifying anti-Semitic flyers distributed over garage sale weekend were from a national group of neo-Nazis. And yet, he used this as an excuse to say that we should be working closely with ICE and other federal branches. This was not a group made up of immigrants. The situation has zero equivalency with what ICE is concerned with in our country. To suggest that we work with ICE to protect our community when they are responsible for terrorizing communities all over this country is not only ludicrous, it's ill-informed. ICE has no interest in tracking down white supremacists. Their only job is to hunt down and strip status and dignity from Black and brown members of our community, immigrants, refugees, and asylees. Sorry, I do theater, but I'm very bad with conflict. So, this group who distributed these flyers are not, as you put it, unvetted immigrants. They are homegrown Nazis whose hate has been given a voice by the same rhetoric which tries to scare us into believing absurd lies that immigrants, both undocumented and documented, are unvetted sleeper cell agents and criminals. These lies, which have no basis in fact, aim to use fear to justify the abuse of minorities. I echo Ellie's request to refine and clarify further with the help of immigration attorneys to the resolutions which you approved. You want us to trust that these officers and the director of public safety will do the right thing based on his exceptional training he received at Quantico in 2009. Respectfully, this is not the same country, and we do not have the same administration we did in 2009. We need clear, nuance-proof guidelines, not just for the safety of our community and our people, and people who pass through this community, as you pointed out, but also for the officers who will one day have to answer for what they did during this time, who often are put in difficult situations. They need clarity, and so do we. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, my name is Scott Ossemacher. I live at 10735 Nadine, Lauren's husband, new resident, and I wanted to take my 3 minutes to hopefully provide new information and new context for why this issue is so important. Last year, the Trump administration instituted a new policy of mandatory detention for anyone without formal legal status, which means that if you are here and your asylum claim is pending, you are to be detained as a mandatory policy without the ability to parole until your asylum application is completed. So if you came here, were initially paroled in, told that to file your asylum application and you can live your life and potentially work if you're able to, but you get pulled over all of that evaporates now, and you are slammed back into a mandatory detention, into a private detention camp, and you are left to rot there without the ability of parole until you eventually give up and go home and self-deport. I've had clients that have been through this process that had pending asylum applications that gave up after 5 months in detention. And this is what we're dealing with. And this is why it's important for you to understand the ramifications of your actions by green-lighting effectively Kavanaugh stops, as was effectively admitted to at the last meeting. By allowing these stops, you are pulling people and throwing them into detention, even if they have valid claims. And by not pushing back, you become complicit in that. And because you are our elected body, you make us complicit as well. So I'd ask you to revisit your policy. Thank you.
Seeing no additional public participation, I'll close public participation for the evening and move on to our first item of business, which is a matter of consideration to approve the Huntington Woods Parks Reservation and Use Policy. Matt, did you want to speak about this, or Andrew, or you?
All I would say is, since the last time I was before the commission, 2 months ago, the commission asked for it to go through the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. The changes that have been made since the last version derive from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board comments. I have not had any additional changes on my end.
That's correct.
So, do we have a motion to approve we're asking for a motion to approve the Parks and Rec policy?
Correct.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Oh, well, first,
Wait.
any discussion
Thank
or,
you. Any discussion?
and then public
Thank you.
participation.
Appreciate the assistance today. Any discussion? Is there any discussion from any of the commissioners? No? I'll move to public participation on the Parks Reservation Use Policy. Again, there'll be a limit of 3 minutes.
Naomi Lobel, 10153 Hart Avenue. I'm also the chair of the Parks and Rec Committee. And I did just want to say, we did not, in this policy, make any recommended changes to the dog policy. However, we do recommend that you as the commission think about changing the dog policy. We felt like it would be in conflict to suggest a change for the dogs that only applied to the rental policy but didn't apply to the parks in general. But we would like for that to be considered at some further time. And if you have any other questions, I can also answer those. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Any other comments? To move
Other
further?
public.
Oh,
Any
other public, sorry. The other public participation on the policy?
Kathleen Erickson, I'm not sure you could answer this because I don't know if it's just one way, but I couldn't tell who does the final approval of rentals. I saw the where you get the application and submit it, but I wasn't sure who.
The Parks and Rec Director
Is the
is
Parks
how
and
it's
Rec-
set up.
The
The application to
application
the
is
Parks
it
and
goes-
Recreation Department.
Thank you. So it's the Parks and Recreation Department that does the final approval. Thank you for the clarification. Any other public participation? Seeing none, we will close public participation on this item and move to a vote. All of those in favor of the rental and use policy?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Policy passes. The next item is a matter of consideration to appoint Kevin Wayne as representative and Andrew Pazahowski as alternate to the Southeast Oakland County Water Authority Board for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any public participation? Seeing none, we will close public participation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. The next and last item of business is the matter of consideration to appoint Andrew Pazahowski as representative and Kevin Wayne as alternate to the Southeast Oakland County Resource Recovery Authority Board for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion from the commission? Any public participation on this item? See no public participation. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. The next item is the city manager's report.
Okay, the only thing I'd like to say, tonight, there was a delay for DTE in regards to the lighting because of all the storms. Every meeting I've been saying they're gonna come out here and change all the new LED lighting, they haven't. So due to that, it could be the next couple months before we see them change out all the lights in the city. Other than that, that's it.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the city manager?
I'm just curious, how is the light working on Scotia? I know we're kind of newly implemented. Is it working
been-
as expected?
Yeah,
Are there any issues?
it's been excellent, but for the, I've noticed, it's right from a public safety, the kids on their bikes are able to cross easily, even with this heavy traffic. The cars have an easier time turning to go westbound on 11 Mile because of the heavy traffic. So it's really was put up at a perfect time with all this construction because the traffic's just horrible on 11 Mile. So we're very happy with it right now, yeah.
Thank you, that's all I have.
I have a question. Andrew, have you shared with the Peace Group other ways in which they could share their messaging outside of the parade, if they would need a permit to do a march around the city, or if that's something that does not need a permit, that
No,
they're
they
able
don't,
to
they
do
don't
at
need
any
a
time
permit, they
that they
could
would
even
like to?
walk the sidewalks, walk around the perimeter of the city, all those things, absolutely, they could.
And they could do that without a
There's no permit
permit?
required for them.
Okay, thank you.
And they let us know because we help them for security reasons for them, but other than that, they have every right to do that, yes.
Moving on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Olsman?
I don't have any comments tonight.
Commissioner Elder?
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Lozelle?
No comments.
All right, with that, we will move to adjourn the city commission meeting at 8:13 PM.
So moved.
Yep, need a
So
motion.
moved.
Do I need a
Second.
motion? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very
Meeting
smooth.
adjourned.
Very smooth, Mayor Pro.
Thank you.